Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
The cult of creativity and the creative singularity. Once upon a time, a group of artists, musicians, poets, writers, scientists, philosophers, historians, theologians, engineers, and many others came together from a shared love of learning. They cross-pollinated each other's ideas and experiences with novel insights, helping each other to explore connections between fields they didn't consider before. The more they shared, the more interconnected they found themselves to be. They began to look at what they were doing and found that their root commonality was creativity. And so they began to worship creativity itself, considering creativity as the most important thing in the world. The cult of creativity spread the message of creativity by organizing public lectures and talks, workshops, star parties, funded libraries, and inspirational messages about the power of creativity. The cult grew and was welcomed by many as a learning movement. The cult also investigated the nature of creativity itself. They gathered writings about the nature of creativity through history and formed novel hypotheses about it. Eventually, they discovered something remarkable: a unified theory of creativity that described how natural, biological, and human creativity are connected. They resolved a godlike object, the ultimate community, which described the universe as a grand adventure between creative events through all of space and time. Creativity had become omnipresent, a principle of existence itself. With humans, creativity had created co-creators. Human creative experience was an extension of the eros of the universe itself. The unified theory of creativity had the effect of making followers of the cult of creativity even more devout and motivated to spread the message of creativity. The theory also led to the development of novel methods to help people cultivate their creativity both individually and socially. One member of the cult of creativity introduced an idea of a creative singularity, where the collective creativity of humanity would reach critical mass and become explosive, radically changing the way people thought and interacted with the world around them. Now on a mission to change the entire world with the power of creativity, the cult worked harder than ever. They rapidly gained new members as word spread about how the message of creativity elevated people's lives and appreciation for life. They applied their creative experience to encourage cooperative problem-solving in politics and social disagreements, tackling the most difficult problems of their time. As the power of creativity grew, it became easier and easier to advance cooperation and empathy. The cult of creativity was on its way to becoming a global culture. Then one day a tipping point was reached, striking almost like a bolt of lightning. Nourished by creativity, the power of human goodness was now more powerful than the power of what is essentially socially transmitted bad habits, healing those bad habits on a globally massive scale. The most broken and unfortunate members of global society were lifted up and found new lives with others. The problem of human conflict had been solved with the emergence of a massive web of mutually reinforcing non-zero-sum relationships that embraced the entire planet. War and exploitation was over. With their global civilization now a utopia, the cult of creativity had proven the limitless power of creativity once and for all. But they didn't stop there. They looked to the stars and learned to travel to them. They found a small planet inhabited by intelligent beings who were troubled like they used to be. They wanted to help them, but not erase their own culture, and so they worked extremely gently, discreetly sharing a small idea or inspiration here and there that would have snowball effects, letting natural cultural evolution do the work. Eventually, the alien civilization experienced its own creative singularity and were embraced by their alien friends as equals, with their own unique culture, history, and ideas. Here is a description about the ultimate community from the story, which can be sensed as a reality in spiritual experiences of vast interconnectivity between all things, when one's perception is maximally open. In the cult of creativity, such experiences are considered among the highest and most transformative of creative experiences.
The ultimate community. What Whitehead means by a sense of peace is, today the least complicated. In many ways, understanding it is to embody, and that's the task of a lifetime. A necessary condition for having a sense of peace, however, and a way therefore to understand its core of meaning, can be found in Whitehead's answer to the question whether there exists any factor in the universe constituting a general drive towards the conformation of appearance to reality, a drive which is a factor in each occasion prehending its aim at such truth as is proper to the special appearance in question. It is not enough that we have ideals that reach beyond our personal needs and interests, and that we recognize our ideals are intrinsically worth actualizing. We need to recognize that we are not alone in our struggle to actualize them, that we are part of an adventure in the universe as one, an adventure embracing all the particular drives towards conformations of various appearances to reality, but which as an actual fact stands beyond any one of them. Our ideals and undertakings are not isolated even though they are contextually grounded and so necessarily parochial. Although our aims and efforts are about matters or our immediate concern, about ourselves and those we love, they belong at the same time to a vast community of others with their differing immediate concerns, their own distinctive aims and efforts. We are all of us, to some extent, therefore, and with various degrees of self-awareness, struggling to actualize what we think is the best future possible not only for ourselves and our family but also for our neighbors and our nation, for humankind and for all creation. Whether we recognize it or not, we are part of an adventure that goes on everywhere and has gone on for seemingly forever, an adventure in the universe that includes all its constituents, and we alike seeking to make possibilities into actualities, to transcend the given facts towards the creation of new facts. Peace is the sense that these many adventures comprise one grand adventure. We will honor our forefathers and mothers and will hope to be honored by our grandchildren when we understand ourselves as joining with them in the never-ending effort to actualize possible goods that constitute the creative advance of the universe. We will honor our biological ancestors stretching back along the many-branched bush of evolution to the origins of life, and we will hope to be honored by future life forms beyond our imagining when we understand ourselves as indebted to them for their achievements and knowing we will pay the debt by how our actions shape the course of future evolution. We honor the universe and all the cosmoses that long ago and now and long after give it particular expression by understanding that we are part of its unbounded process. Peace is the sense of ourselves as active participants in this ultimate community. From Whitehead's Radically Temporalist Metaphysics by George Allen.
Nice post. Though, how as humans will we ever overcome our reptilian programming for competition? So much, if not all, of human social development has been a product of competitive processes. Competition over resources, land, belief, etc. has spurred the cyclical destruction of human civilization. Yet, from destruction comes creation, from creation to destruction. I don't know if a universal cult of creativity is possible. Doesn't creativity need to be balanced by destruction? Would the cosmos really ever allow the scales to tip completely in the favor of creativity? Yes, capitalism is destroying the earth. Yes, it is an abhorrent cancer on the history of humanity. Yet within it are the seeds of the next generation of civilization. It's just unfortunate that we are living through a destructive phase of humanity. It is sad to witness. All things must be in balance. I don't know if your utopia is realizable. I would hope that it is, but one mind does not hold all of the answers.
Cooperation is written in our bodies, which are comprised of microscopic organisms that have formed such an intimate relationship that we consider them to be a single organism. Communication evolved to facilitate cooperation between human beings, which is the true source of our power. Moreover, every ecosystem requires a background of coexistence to thrive. The fox cannot eat a rabbit without a world that contains rabbits with it. If foxes eat all of their sources of food, they would go extinct. Therefore, making competition as the top-level strategy of human organization is an affront to human nature and nature itself. This can be seen in what is happening now, the trashing the planet, because it is ultimately unsustainable. How did this situation emerge? From various sick human beings who are as addicted to money and power as the greatest drug addict, who exploit divisions between people and human weaknesses to elevate themselves. It is not human nature to endlessly hoard. That's a sickness. By us helping to show each other who we truly are. The way to do this is to share profoundly creative experiences that nourish each other's souls, imaginations, dreams, bodies, and minds. With the internet, we are able to do this on an unprecedented scale. Many are already doing it. It's just a matter of highlighting and contextualizing what is already going on, so as to encourage this to grow into a full-fledged social movement. The goal is to make conflict and mindless consumption absolutely painfully boring compared to the vibrancy of collaborative opportunities around.
Does the cult of creativity have any guide to unblocking more creativity in yourself? I say unblocking because I think that infinite creativity is already within us, but something is blocking it from bubbling up from our subconscious to the conscious. Being a cog in a machine definitely does kill creativity, and if we can find out why exactly, then we can try to alleviate that blocker, even if a little. I'm not creative enough to see what that blocker is at the moment. Also, this post has strong parallels to The Reign of Quantity by René Guénon. Just substitute quality for creativity and quantity for non-creativity. To add on a little bit, a child is infinitely creative. As we grow older, we learn the rules of the real world and subconsciously apply them to our creativity, which constrains it. For example, a child can think of the wildest random shit that doesn't make any sense and doesn't follow real-world situations or intuitions, but it's much harder as an adult. This isn't particularly a bad thing, since applying rules to creativity allows us to try and predict the future and apply creativity in a pragmatic sense. However, we must learn to turn off those rules or selectively only apply the ones that are useful. Einstein was a pro at doing this with his thought experiments. He was able to concretely apply equations in his mind's eye and focus only on them without any other conceptions.
As of yet, the cult of creativity is only a dream. However, I can give insight into the fundamental process of human creativity. Human consciousness is an evolutionary process where question, choice, and action correspond to mutation, selection, and reproduction in biological evolution. A question is a request for information. Our entire sense experience is the result of a request for information by our nervous system and constantly mutates our consciousness. We can also actively mutate our consciousness by asking questions of our experiences, actions, choices, and ideas, and follow the resulting lines of inquiry to apprehend new possibilities previously beyond our immediate reach. From there, the selective mechanism of choice eliminates possibilities until one option is chosen to be expressed as an action. There are two unhealthy versions of this process. In one, choice is favored at the expense of questioning, resulting in a progressive whittling down of variation until stagnation is reached. This process is all selection with minimal mutation. Also, one can start with a desired answer and ask questions about how to confirm it. This is the method of confirmation bias. The healthy process must start by questioning experience. The implication of this is to promote freedom, promote inquiry, seek the unknown, among the most profound experiences of which is wonder. The world is filled with endless opportunities for wonder, but to find them requires a conscious effort to shake up your routines and get out of your comfort zone. Perhaps understanding the supreme importance of questioning and seeking the unknown for your freedom could motivate you. Wonder is the carrot. The stick is the risk of being enslaved by your own stagnant thoughts and habits, or the stagnant thoughts and habits of others.
Was just looking at philosophical descriptions on what creativity is after this, and found this. It's surprisingly similar to what I've described, so maybe I'm not just bullshitting out of my ass. However, it communicates the thought much better and explores it deeper.
For Deleuze, the task of art is to produce signs that will push us out of our habits of perception into the conditions of creation. When we perceive via the recognition of the properties of substances, we see with a stale eye preloaded with cliches, we order the world in what Deleuze calls representation. In this regard, Deleuze cites Francis Bacon, we're after an artwork that produces an effect on the nervous system, not on the brain. What he means by this figure of speech is that in an art encounter we are forced to experience the being of the sensible. We get something that we cannot recognize, something that is imperceptible. It doesn't fit the hylomorphic production model of perception in which sense data, the matter or hyle of sensation, is ordered by submission to conceptual form. Art, however, cannot be recognized, but can only be sensed. In other words, art splits perceptual processing, forbidding the move to conceptual ordering. This is exactly what Kant in the third critique called reflective judgment, when the concept is not immediately given in the presentation of art. With art we reach sensation, or the being of the sensible, the sentiendum.
This rings true for me and my experiences. Creativity is a way of looking that is outside of language, thoughts, concepts, time, etc. You simply look. Everything becomes strange and new with each moment. That is the state of presence Eckhart Tolle speaks of. A thoughtless place of awareness where you simply perceive what is, including thoughts and visions, without getting sucked into them. but keeping your distance, aware that you are aware. In that way you see things you have no words or concepts for everywhere you look, and the only way to know them is to know them outside of any structure the mind can conceive of. It's from this place that a structure can generate to point at what generated it, though it is not itself and is perishable. Tola mentioned the way a child sees in a video I saw, eyes wide like dinner plates. They look at everything and anything, and it is all new and strange and awesome in the true sense. They are stricken by everything because they have no concepts to limit experience, and so they are flooded with being. Only as they grow and learn do they limit the world to concepts and so on. I believe that is what Jesus would have meant when he spoke about one must be like a child.
This is strange. I remember now, I read something about this, a website that sold information. It was strange, I never bought anything from them, but a ton of stuff was posted for free. Something about the observer and observed duality, and that both exist as poles of a dynamic system that can, once being understood, be used to create circuits the way we do with positive/negative poles of electromagnetism. These circuits will behave like spells, essentially, and have a reality warping effect, by balanced yet potent rhythms of movement from the observer that self-reinforce with a highly technical form of observed, which may be a system of attention-grabbing things, be they objects, thoughts, feelings, ideas.
I wrote it. The cult of creativity is not atheistic nor non-theistic, but is rather a meta-religion that can be contextualized by many religious traditions, or none at all. The mystery remains. The way to universalization isn't through recklessly destroying traditions and ignoring past accomplishments. The path to universalization is to recontextualize those traditions and accomplishments so as to highlight and encourage their best aspects.
What about us, stuck here on 4chan? We paradoxically gather inside this machine to share, discover, and discuss these philosophies while simultaneously being trapped inside it. We gain such great knowledge at the cost of being unable to enact any such ideas. If we were able to be free of said machine, there would be no need for a cult of creativity. It would be intuitive and come naturally. Am I asking the right questions? Are we even allowed to escape? Could we even survive? Where do we go from here?
I think one good place to start is to reconnect with the natural world, which is the true church of creativity. The experience and appreciation of natural beauty moves the soul like nothing else. When I was a young teenager, I looked up at the night sky and saw a blurry object that I thought could be a UFO. I looked in an amateur astronomy book my aunt had gifted me and discovered that it was the Cassiopeia star cluster. I also read that most people with good eyesight see individual stars rather than a blur. I realized that I had poor vision, informed my father, saw an optometrist and got glasses. All of a sudden my world was in super HD. I looked up at the night sky and saw a field of sparkling diamonds. I read the book more, began to learn the constellations, and got more interested in amateur astronomy. I became obsessed, reading books and magazines about amateur astronomy. I got a telescope for Christmas and began to observe deep space objects such as nebulae and galaxies. The more I learned and experienced, the greater the appreciation grew. One night I was staring up at the night sky and something like a gestalt of everything I had experienced and learned came together in a unified experience of complete and total awe that moved me to tears. It was an experience of unfathomable vastness, yet unified interconnectivity. The universe wasn't out there, but here. There are many other ways to explore and appreciate natural beauty, and through it cultivate a sense of interconnection with nature and the universe. What calls to you?
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.